Ooh. Boom! Hey! How you doing? I'm Thundercloud here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, washing away the garbage, leaving rainbows after rains. Everybody knows my mum's called me James, and I'm here tonight with some fun and linguistic games. James. It's all the same. Alright. Well, what's tonight? Oh, I've got an Ern Malley special for you. The Ern Malley affair. Yeah, I'll tell you about that later. I've also got a whole bunch of new books from Crissie from Ballarat. Thank you very much again, Crissie. We're going to really enjoy reading through them tomorrow night, especially at our Wednesday Words Poetry Night. And don't forget to join us here in the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame for Wednesday Words from about 6:40. It's Chillin Tuesdays, so I'm just chilling. I'm a bit late because I was having a cup of tea and whatever. I went for a walk, I watched the sunset, and I found some red and white mushrooms. Yeah, I took some photos of them, so I've had a lovely afternoon, watched a beautiful red sunset and legislations, and we would get rid of these like two corrupt Liberal National Coalition ruling and swapping, which are really just the same left and right hand of the same person for many years. And if we put in some thinkers where they have to negotiate and bring some other ideas to the table, we might actually get some policy change and maybe an ICAC or something like 5 to 11 for Saturday with a few showers, around 60% chance of showers. Same for Sunday, 5 to 13 and 60% chance of showers. And next Monday, 60% chance of showers, 5 to 13. So it's going to be cold and damp over the next coming week. Lovely weather for thunderclouds, but tonight and that might be happening later on in the evening. This is it, 100 Australian poems for children. So big shout out to Crissie from Ballarat. Thank you very much for sending us all of these wonderful books to our poetry library and archive here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame in Geuff. For preservation for perpetuity. Let's open it. This was edited by Clare Scott Mitchell. It said emus, and I think emus are good. There's other things in here like Mulga Bill's bicycle, so that's obviously a Banjo Patterson poem. So let's find page 20 emus, if I'm right. That's sort of something that, who would write that? Chris Wallace Crabbe. By Chris Wallace Crabbe. It is particularly the particular way they come stepping warily along the path. In dark, wrinkled stockings and shabby... That's a rude thing to say about emus. Oh, anyway. Cool. Bill Niji, Kakadu Bill Niji. This is a First Nations poem. Bill has a wonderful book of song that he recorded before he passed on. This earth. This earth I never damage. I look after. Fire is nothing, just clean up. When you burn, new grass coming up. That means Boala the Hunter by Redress of the tribe Nunako, formerly known as Kath Walker. This is of the tribe on Minjerribah, formerly known as Stradbroke Island. Boala the Hunter. In the hard famine time, in the where there was rain. Couldn't find emu, couldn't find seed, and the children all the time cry for feed. They saw a great eagle come through the sky to his big stick gunya in a gun nearby. We got yonks too, we got need. We make fire and we all have feed. Then up went Walla like a native cat. All the black fellows climb like that. And when he look over big nest rim, those young ones him. They flap and spat and snapped and clapped. They're plenty wild with him, my word. They shilled at tucker thief big and brown, but Walla took Wallaby and then climbed down. It was from St Arnaud, which and my grandfather was from out that way too, Bendigo. So, but yeah, thank you, Crissie, for Ballarat. This is by Oscar Mendelsohn, the Bendigo track. Clickety clockety clack. Bendigo track, so far as I know, though the train's rather slow, it's exactly the same distance back. Clockety clackety click, I don't like a train that's too quick. I prefer one that ambles and gambles and rambles and stops at the shake of a stick. End of children's poetry time now, so we will move right along onto 101 Ghost Jokes, of course, by Lisa Eisenberg and Katy Hall. Random, the King says, "Oh, I've just seen a 300-pound ghost." And the Queen replies, "God, what does a 300... Alright, enough of that. Poetry, that's what we're here for. Chillin' on a Tuesday with a few jokes, a few kids' poems. This one interested me. Pamela Brown works on alone, supporting herself with part-time jobs. Her writing is valuable for its economy, its clarity and its toughness. She struggles with the difficult matter of particular aspects of contemporary life. Her writing impresses with its vivid, pared-down style. Oh yeah, okay, so she's... Antarctic winds, winter in Adelaide. I wait for change, unable to bring it on. Sometimes I feel sick. The tiny hills that surround this town mark the spot where nature stops. With no future, there's no history. But the hills are colourful. In this town, ideas come is well heeled and uses words like budgeting. I drink a little every day. I walk the dog. Old filmmakers play croquet. Old actors act. On Whistler's mother's head. That's friggin' awesome. Oh, I like that one. Oh, that's a very good poem. Some poems, like, you've got to read them out, you know, you could just like read through that, scan through it. It wouldn't be the same as reading it out, how I've just read it. You give each of those lines, see how they're like really little lines at each one of them, you give them a bit of emphasis. Dumb Pianos, poems from 1982. Again, Pamela Brown. Not even our shadows collide. All night and every night, for 6 nights, no sleep and not unhappy, although I am unhappy. As weight drops from me, trains rattle past, at dawn, the business week opens, there are things to do. I'm thinking of what she said. She said she wanted love without sex. And I lied. I said, I can do that. And what I meant was that terrible song, I Can't Stop Loving You, which is all I can say. Anyway, I am the one who started it, who has done it to her. It's all too bad. Not to wake, or maybe to fall from a hill on a windy day. Anything to end the waking, the big awake, which I could even call wretched. I know it's true. It would be something to cry again, like last night, full of sadness and nausea and quite tears just rolling out and down onto the pillow. In someone else's bed, in someone else's room, in the centre of my forehead, in the mirror every few hours. And then rubbing my hands across my face, around my eyes especially, and sighing with this awful. And it started with noise, ends with worry. Rain story. When it's very still, very quiet, like this morning, I'm in my bed with no cigarettes. The light enters sideways, makes small shadows, nothing else is like this moment. Rain. The rain I want for me. Almost perfect. I open the window. Why? And everything alters because of that. We talk a lot, but I wouldn't dare to say, cheer up, ever again. Dumb clocks, dumb exquisite clocks, dumb violins, dumb pianos, they make me feel like singing. Today, anyway, in my bed, a very small morning, ever stupid, ever happy, and it's all terrific, really. Especially driving through a million near misses. It's like that, isn't it? Reality, though, you deserve more than this. On this occasion, a Tommy Leonetti record, an answering service, a ticket south, west, north, east, bad socks. But that's the gift, I guess. But sometimes your hand passes through your hair and surely you wonder. Sorry. Yeah. Really nice fun. If you're liking this so far, give it a thumbs up. Yes? Give it a heart now. Do it now. Give it a thumbs up and a heart thingy. Yeah, that's the way. Good. All right. Opinion of Herman Hesse and advice on how to cook rice. First time in the book. Sure block. Next one that got me here was the red Coca-Cola bottle. That we perform in syndicates became obvious. No, I'm not going to even read that. I've decided. That's enough out of her. I'm going to move along. I'm not going to advertise Coca-Cola. Ha ha. Unless, of course, they want to pay me. Now, Coca-Cola, if you're out there, Coca-Cola executives, marketing executives, and you're watching, yes, I would be willing to endorse your product, Freudian slip, your problem, for a substantial amount of money for the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. But otherwise, no, I won't endorse your product. Poetry is what I'm here to endorse. Australian poetry. Because this is the Australian. Order a bag of it today. bastionlane.com.au. Gary's coffee is the best. Served here at Seahorse Medicine Cafe at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame in Guyra. Yeah, for sure. And don't forget tomorrow night, Wednesday night, to the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame for Wednesday Words Poetry Night. And then next week on Thursday night, the 26th of May, Glenn Screwthorpe is appearing with Lainey Jameson here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. And then the 29th, we've got Laura Zarb with Soul Express Cabaret. Now, coming up, we got this, we got 2 more books. Small Poems for Busy People and George Sanders' Mousepoo and Other Droppings. And then I've got the Ern Malley scandal coming up. So, if you want to hear about the biggest ever literary scandals, stick around for the Ern Malley affair. It's coming up. Right, Poetry Australia. I have no idea what this was about, when it was published. Published by Jay Bray, Ida Buttrose, Russ Dowse, Malcolm Fraser. 1989 it was published, there you go. We have found out where this one's from. Right, some of the poets that are in here are Hugh Macmillan, David Ryder, L.H. Manson, Merritt Clifton, Warwick Wynne, David Wilson, Lewis Simpson. There's a prose writers in here because it's full of prose as well as poetry. Alright, let's look for poems by Hugh Macmillan. War Games Night, Belgium. And when an old ruler moves files of... Big Dan has little knowledge of the land or the intricacies of the Chillin plan. He makes the conscripts walk in bare feet from the Ukraine. He's lost the field to join the fag ash and the empty bottles round the map. Got you there, you old bastard, the Kaiser jokes and Big Dan shrugs. Albert of the Belgians is at the bog, and Ludendorff is making toast. Only Dan is at the board, crowned in white smoke, still facing west. A million men, I hear him muse, well, well. Through the window an August breeze moves, the distant skeletons of trees, and I am tempted to think of endless blood. All right. Next book. Small Poems for Busy People. Well, we're not that busy. The problem with this was... Oh yeah, that's right. The poets are inside, so it's a compilation. Oh, the one I've opened to. Another one by one of my favourite First Nations poets. I've already read by one. Gifts. Okay. I will bring you love, said the young lover, a glad light to dance in your eye. Pendants I will bring of the white bone and gay parrot feathers to deck your hair. But she only shook her head. I will put a child in your arms, he said. I will be a great headman, rainmaker. I will make remembered songs about you, that all the tribes in the wandering camps will sing forever. But she was not impressed. I will bring you the still moonlight on the lagoon, and steal for you the singer of all the birds. I will bring down the stars in heaven to you, and put the bright rainbow into your hand. No, she said. Bring me tree grubs. Very good. Hey, let's get a bit intimate. Come on over here. Get a bit closer. Yeah, that's better. Random one. The Kaleidoscope by Douglas Dunn. To climb these stairs again, bearing a tray, might be to find you pillowed with your books. Your inventories list gowns and frocks as if preparing for a holiday. Or, turning from the landing, I might find my present watched through your kaleidoscope. A symmetry of husbands, each redesigned in lovely forms of foresight, prayer and hope. I climb these stairs a dozen times a day, and by that open door wait, looking in at where you died. My hands become a tray, offering me my flesh, my soul, my skin. Grief wrongs us so. I stand and wait and cry for the absurd forgiveness, not knowing why. It's a sonnet. Tree, books, frocks, holiday, yeah, kind of sonnet. Another by Edgerunu, called Dawn Wail for the Dead. Dim light of daybreak now, faintly over the sleeping camp. Old Lubra first to wake remembers, first thing every dawn, remember the dead. Cry for them. Softly at first her wail begins, one by one as they wake and hear, join in the cry, and the whole camp wails for the dead, the poor dead, gone from here to the dark place. They are remembered, then it is over. Life now, fires lit, laughter now, and a new day calling. Well, what an absolute privilege it is to be able to find beautiful poetry like that. So they were, so that was the section titled Tears I was just reading out of. Yeah, alright, we got family, what else we got in here? Small poems for busy people. The sections are love, friendship, tears, laughter, family. Yeah, let's look for laughter, 75. Because everybody likes laughter. I like laughter. Like, yeah, I Did I tell you that my penis was in the Guinness Book of Records and the librarian told me to take it out? Boom, boom. Yeah. Another ghost joke. What kind of horse do ghosts like to ride? Nightmares. And what kind of trees do ghost students study? Cemeteries. Why did the ghost ask the teacher if he could change his seat? He wanted to sit next to his ghoul friend. Why did the ghost student collapse in class? He was so tired, he was dead on his feet. What do ghosts like to study in high school? Boology. Why do students study the ghost? Why did the students study the ghost for half an hour every day? Because it was history! Ha ha! Boom! What should you get if you cross a ghost with a cheetah? A cheetah. Ha 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 ha! Okay, enough ghost jokes. Now, the chapter on laughter from small poems for busy people. A good poem by Roger McGough. I like a good poem, one with lots of fighting in it. Blood and the clang of armour poems. Against Scotland are good. And poems that defeat the French with crossbows. I don't like poems that aren't about anything. Sonnets are wet and a waste of time. Also poems that don't know how to rhyme. If I was a poem, I'd play football and get picked for England. So there you go. Steamin' by Roger McGough. In the bottom stream, which means I'm not bright, don't like reading, can hardly write, but all these divisions aren't really fair. Look at the cemetery, no stream in there. Stream. Alright, Small Poems for Busy People, a compilation by Cumulus Publishing, published in, and this was the really weird thing about this book, I couldn't find any publishing data apart from Cumulus, and that's it. Not even in the front page. I opened the front page, there's nothing there. Small Poems for Busy People. Oh, there it is. Okay, I did. Aha! I have to eat my words. Published in 2005 in Auckland for Cumulus, Lithgow Street, Queen Street, Auckland, New Zealand. There you go. You never know. Alright, sip of tea. And now we're going to move on to tonight's feature poet, Ern Malley, and the Ern Malley affair. I'll read from you from the introduction of the book first. Come on, come a bit closer. It was a literary hoax. Ern Malley and his poems were conceived in 1944 as a hoax that was to have such an impact on the cultural life of Australia that issues raised at the time are still as relevant now, more than 40 years later. This book was published in 85, I think, by the way. Malley was a fiction, and the poems were a compilation of written material drawn from a variety of sources as diverse as Shakespeare and American manuals on mosquito control. Their creators were two conservative poets, James Macaulay and Harold Stewart, who invented the poet and the poems in an attempt to discredit their rivals, the modernist movement. Their poems were accepted for publication by the modernist avant-garde magazine Angry Penguins, co-edited by the young poet Max Harris, who hailed the poems as a work of a poet of great power. A few weeks after the poems appeared in the autumn 1944 issue of the magazine, the deception was exposed by the popular Sydney Sun, giving much delight to those eager to humiliate the modernists, especially the most visible of them, Max Harris. Such, too, was the moral climate of the time that the young editor was later prosecuted and found guilty of publishing indecent material. In this new edition of the poems, Max Harris tells the full story of the hoax and gives a contemporary view on how Australian modernism has shaped the development of various art forms in this country during the past 40 years or so. An intellectual background to this understanding of the ideas and the events of the time is provided by Joanna Murray-Smith in A Short History. So this is the Ern Malley and the poems with commentaries by Max Harris and Joanna Smith, and Max Harris was the editor who went to jail. It's got there Max Harris's signature and Joanna Smith's. So it's a pretty copy number 32 it is, of a very limited run of this book. So very awesome to find this book, 1987. Now this book here was not one of the ones that Crissie from Ballarat sent me. This was found at the Rotary Book Fair in Armidale on until, I think it finishes this weekend, to tell you the truth. But it started on the weekend and it's fantastic. There's so many books there for like $2 or $3. I just got like $150 nearly worth of books, of poetry books from there. And this one is just a kicker. It's a special book. And there's 4 parts to it. There's the introduction with Max Harris. There's the Angry Penguins sort of part written by Joanna Murray-Smith. And then there's the editorials from the autumn of 1944's Angry Penguins, where he wrote about it, etc., etc. And Elegiac from Ern Malley. And then finally the book ends with the Darkening Ecliptic, Ern Malley, which was the whole set of, I think, 16 poems that they conceived of and put together out of all different bits of stuff. So that was what I was wanting to read to you tonight. But what I was going to begin with was the preface and statement which was attached with the poems that was sent into the Angry Penguin. So the preface and statement, which is again also a part of the deception and the fallacy, because it's a complete bullshit. Here we go. It's only 2 pages, 1.5 pages. These poems are complete. There are no scoriae or unfulfilled intentions. Every note and revision has been destroyed. There is no biographical data. These poems are complete in themselves. They have a domestic economy of their own. And if they face outwards to the reader, that is because they have first faced inwards to themselves. Every poem should be an autarky. It's all just crap. The writing was done over 5 years, which is also not true. It was done in a day or something. Certain changes of the mental allegiance and superficial method took place. That is all that needs to be said on the subject of schools and influences. To discover the highly fealty of certain arrangements of sound in a line and certain concatenations of the analytic emotions is the secret of style. Oh my God. I'll read that again. To discover the hidden fealty of certain arrangements of sound in a line and certain concatenations of the analytic emotions is the secret of style. When thought at a certain level and with a certain intention discovers itself to be poetry, it discovers also that duty does, after all, exist, the duty of a public act. That duty is wholly performed by setting pen to paper. To read what has thus been done is another thing again, and implies another order of loyalty. Simplicity in our time is arrived at by an ambages. There is at this moment no such thing as a simple poem if what is meant by that is a point-to-point straight line relation of images. If I said that this was so because on the level where the world is mental occurrence, a point-to-point relation is no longer genuine, I should be accused of mysticism. Yet it is so. Those who say, what might not have X done if he had lived, demonstrate their different way of living from the poet's way. It is a kind of truth which I have tried to express, to say in return, all one can do in one span of time is to uncover a set of objective allegiances. The rest is not one's concern. Okay, all right. So let's keep going. This one's called Dürer, Innsbruck, 1495. I had often cowed in the slumberous heavy air, closed my inanimate lids to find it real, as I knew it would be, the colourful spires and painted roofs, the high snows glimpsed at the back, all reversed in the quite reflecting waters, not knowing then that Dürer perceived it too. Now I find that once more I have shrunk to an interloper, robber of dead men's dreams. I had read in books that art is not easy, but no one warned me that the mind repeats. In its ignorance, the vision of others, I am still the black swan of trespass on alien waters. Here's one called Sweet William. I have avoided your wide English eyes, but now I am whirled in their vortex. My blood becomes a damaged man, most like your Albion. And I must go with stone feet down the staircase of flesh to where in a shuddering embrace my toppling opposites commit the obscene, the unforgivable rape. One moment of daylight lets me have, like a white arm thrust, out of the dark and self-denying wave, and in the one moment I shall irremediably attest how, though with sobs and torn cries bleeding, my white swan of quietness lies, sanctified on my black swan's breast. Night Peace. The swung torch seeds in the umbelliferous dark, and a frog makes guttural comment on the naked and trespassing nymph of the lake. The symbols were evident, though on park gates the iron birds looked disapproval with rusty, invidious beaks. Among the water lilies, a splashed white foam in the dark, and you lay sobbing. Then, upon my trembling, intuitive arm. That's it. Night Peace, alternate version. The intemperate torch grazed with the fire the umbel of the dark. The pound lilies could not stifle the green descant of frogs. We had not heeded the warning that the ironbirds creaked as we swung the park gates. Their beaks glinted with dew. A splash, the silver nymph was a foam flake in the night, but though the careful winds visited our trembling flesh, they carried no echo. Culture as exhibit. Swamps, marshes, burrow pits and other areas of stagnant water serve as breeding grounds. Now, I have found you, my Anopheles. There is a meaning for the circumspect. Come, we will dance sedate quadrilles, a pallid polka or a yelping shimmy. Over those sunken, sodden breeding grounds, we will be wraiths and wreaths of tissue paper to clog the town council in their plans. Culture, forsooth, Albert, get my gun. I have been noted in the reading rooms as a borer of calf-bound volumes, full of scandals at the court. My lord had his hand upon that snowy globe. Milady Lucy's sinister breast. Attendants have peered me over while I chewed back numbers of Florentine gazettes. Know'st not, my Lucia, that he who has caparisoned a nun dies with his twanky dillo at the ready. But in all of this I got no culture till I read a little pamphlet on my thighs entitled Friction as a Social Process. What? Look at my Anopheles. See how the floor of heaven is thick, inlaid with patternness of etc. Sting them, my Anopheles. Culture as exhibit. Egyptian register. The hands burn resinous in the evening sky, which is a lake of roses, perfumes, idyls, breathed from the wastes of the Tartarian heart. The skull gathers darkness like an inept mountain that broods on its eons of self-injury. The spine, barbed and venomous, pierces the one unmodulated cumulus of cloud and brings the gush of evanescent waters. The lungs are Ra's divine aquaria, where the striped fish move at will towards a purpose darker than a dawn. The body's a hillsong, darling, moist with bitter dews of regret. The genitals, oh lures of starveling faiths, make an immense index to my cold remorse. Magic in the vegetable universe marks us at birth upon the forehead with the ancient ankh, nature. Has her own green centuries which move through our thin convex time, eons of that purpose slowly ride in the decimals of our deceiving age. It may be for nothing that we are, but what we are continues. In the larger patterns of the frontal stone that taunts the living life, oh, those dawn watchers, gold sea gazers, the long-shanked ibises that on the Nile told one husband, peasant, of rebirth, move in a calm, immortal freeze on the mausoleum of my incestuous and self-fructifying death. Alright, so that's just a few of the Ern Malley poems from the Ern Malley affair. Yeah. Alright, well, we're down to the Geuff Sanders Mousepoo and other droppings, R-rated, not suitable for children, contains mild language and adult themes. So if you're under the age of 18 and this is not meant for you, turn it off, go away, go to bed. It's probably close to your bedtime anyway. Okay, let's try this one. This looks tricky because it's got some funny words in it. It's got all these funny words in it. On the mighty Manx of the Mississippi, a fisherman was seeping. The sun was brining shightly, the air full of song from binny little turds. No fetter bisherman had ever hated a book. The town relied on the kish he fought every day. His toe was tugged, the hish was fooked, then gutted, cloned and beamed. Thank you, son, said he's dumb and mad. Who do we thank, said a prong of pheasants. I'm Sommy Toyer's mate, signed Curs. I'm Fuckleberry him. That sounds like a telephone. Ring, ring. Not going to answer it. It's probably someone wanting to debit my Amazon account for $299. So, a breakfast nursery rhyme love song based on a true story by Geuff Sanders for Anne to be sung. Annie puts the toaster on at 7:03, 7:05 Annie makes a cup of tea, Annie warms the dunny seat at 7:10 precise. When I get up at 9:30, they're all as cold as ice. Poetrix. No, I read that earlier today. I'm not reading that one. So, is there something about Geuff here? The Art of the Outback, Broken Hill and Other Silver-Tongued Ferels publication. 2008, Geuff Saunders. 2 for Wendy, Enjoy, 2010, Geuff. So printed by Southern Cross University, Lismore. Published by Silver-Tongued Ferels, Broken Hill. Do they have something about him in here? The author, Geuff Saunders, was born in Melbourne, Australia, and spent his childhood on the move, starting school in Malaysia. Geuff's poetry is eclectic, from hip-hop to free verse to sonnet, formal, rugged bush poetry. So, Geuff ran a writer's workshop. Since he's been retired, he's never been so busy. So there you go. Could even be still alive, I don't know. I hope so. I hope I'll get to read him. I'll meet him one day if he is. So one more from Geuff. My grandma's deaf. My grandma's deaf, and we won't tell her that we heard the telephone. And we tell her... Oh, hang on, let's start that again. My grandma's deaf. My grandma's deaf, and we tell her that we heard the telephone, and we tell her that the Queen of England rang, and that she asked if Grandma was at home, and would she like to borrow a tiara. My grandma's deaf. And we love to take her with us to the mall, and we make sirens as we wheel her in a chair, and we get to use the lift and not the stair. And we never take her to the floor she wants. My grandma's deaf. And when the telly's on her favourite show, we say rude things and then stick out our tongues. And then she calls us one by name. And she playfully smacks us on the bums. My grandma's deaf, but only when she wants to be. All right. Clean and jerk. So let's try that one. Where did I see that? Clean and jerk. Oh, what a tangled web is woven when young lovers get betrothed. The clink of dreadlock brick veneers cut off young stud bulls like steers, while married man eyes don't go blind to a mini-skirted young behind. They tempt him from the vows he took, and he dreams more than just a look. Soon our hero's kept back late on urgent business that can't wait. For years his workload didn't vary, now he's got a secretary. Goo-goo eyes and youthful charms, legs up to her underarm. She picks the penchant pictures. Back home in trust is you know who. His wife suspects she's no one's fool, sips champagne beside their pool while relishing the longest laugh. She employs the household staff. She finds that college students need incomes for their keep and feed, and young men studying degrees are quick to learn and slow to please. Yeah, okay, okay, righto. Fair enough. Righto, well, look, that's it for me tonight. Oh no, it's not it for me tonight at all. No, definitely not. Because I've still got a bit of tea in here. And I suppose I could do some of my own poetry, and I did want to. I was planning a special surprise performance of a Samoan love song. Ooh la la le oe, ooh la le le oe, oh. Yeah, and it's a song by a fella called Nifaloa. And so that's what I was going to finish with. But before I finish on that note, I'm going to finish with my most recent piece of poetry just for you. Oh, now I wasn't going to do any Banjo Patterson or Henry Lawson, of course not, because they get done overly to death. Oh my God, there's Banjo Patterson and Henry Lawson books everywhere in this world. Well, in Australia anyway, whenever I go into bookshops and stuff, second-hand bookshops. But some fella came in this week and said, this is a Banjo Patterson poem that he was told by his dad when he was young. It's very quick. What'll it be, said the barman, picking his nose. 2 bloody hard-boiled eggs. You can't stick your fingers in those. Now, if that's true, if you know if it's true or not, if that is a Banjo Patterson poem or not, can you let me know? Because I really want to know. Put it in the comments or send me a message. Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. Just hit Messenger and send me a quick message, yes or no, if it's true or not. Anyway, moving right along. I'm about to do some of my own poetry now for you. Just for you. All from me. And I am going to change my profile so I can bring up my poetry here that I've done this week. And because I'm in this room, here we go. This week's poetry, or this morning's poetry, to tell you the truth, it's a lot of alliteration. It's a bit of a tongue twister, really. Not really, no. A lot of alliteration. A man named Bill was sitting on a hill under a tree with a woman named Lil. Along came Jill and a man named Phil. So Bill, Lil, Jill and Phil sat upon a hill under a tree right up until Bill had his fill. Then Lil, Jill and Phil were left upon the hill because of Phil's will. Again. A man named Bill was sitting on a hill under a tree with a woman named Lil. Along came Jill and a man named Phil. So Bill, Lil, Jill and Phil sat upon a hill under a tree right up until Bill had his fill. Then Lil, Jill and Phil were left upon the hill because of Bill's will. Okay. And then, as far as poetry goes, rain. I love the weather. The sun, the wind, the rain, but people who complain are a real freaking pain. Send more rain and make it really wet, so the whinging ones never ever will forget. Send a lot of sun and a little bit of snow, keep the rain falling and let the rivers flow. Thanks for the rain and how you make it grand, greening up the parched earth right across the land. Rain, 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 will you please come again, bringing life to everything. We love the rain, because rain brings life. And some trouble and strife, I know. Right, this one. No, I did this one last week at Wednesday Words, so I'm not going to do it again. So, but what I am going to do, I'm going to go back into my long lost poetry in my iPad right here in front of me. Not my long lost poetry, but my long lost, long ago poetry done long ago. There we go. Random one. A rock has no ears and a rock can't climb. Screaming at a rock is a total waste of time. A rock has no arms and a rock doesn't aspire. Why tell a rock to lift itself up higher? A rock is solid and has its own vibration. A rock isn't interested in new information. Yelling at a rock is weird and strange. There's no use trying to get a rock to change. A rock is a rock. If you want a rock to change, hit it with a pickaxe and give it a shock. But then you'll have a rock that is split. 2 bits of rock come from one that is hit. A rock is solid and a rock is dense and sits on the ground just beside a fence. It doesn't know judgment. A rock can't change. Yelling at a rock and you appear strange. Yep, that's it. Ooh, look over here, look over there. Over there, there's a purple octopus on the wall. See that? That purple octopus over there. This is fun. Painting a purple octopus on a wall that's grey with a purple beanie that's really made my day. Painting a purple octopus listening to psytrance in a purple beanie. Now I want to dance. So there was this town, and there was a fella, and his name was Ken, and his surname was Great. Ken, Great. There was actually 2 of them in the town. So in a town, 2 Ken Greats lived in a town, one in the centre, the other far down. People got confused and sometimes irate, so they named the far one Far Ken Great. Okay. Alright, well, on that note, it's time for me to sing to you. We got one more song to do, and we'll go out into the auditorium of the Poetry Hall of Fame, where I'm going to sing to you a Samoan love song that I've been practicing. Yes, it's very, 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 very true. And we have to come in here. I have to get the music ready and start up the music for you. Connect the sound, and then we just go replay, and hopefully we've got some sound. Sounds pretty good to me. Here we go. Ooh la le le ooh. That's the name of the song. Nufaloa. It's not playing. That's it from Chillin on a Tuesday here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, finishing off with Ulale Leoe by Nufaloa, all the way from from Samoa. Yeah. Alright, well, we'll see you here tomorrow night. Wednesday words over my poetry like you at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. On the Thundercloud, wash away the garbage, leaves and rainbows after the rains. Don't forget to click on subscribe and hit the bell so you get notifications, and like it and give it a thumbs up there, and leave a comment too and about some of the poems that you like and stuff. Alright, and stay tuned for Wednesday Words tomorrow night, and next week, Chillin Tuesdays, I'll be back here. See you later.